It's important to support small businesses now more than ever. And that's why I wanted to tell y'all about Geeky and Kinky pins. I fucking love these things, and I wanted to give them a shout out, partially because the owner of them is a huge fan of the podcast. He came to our live show in LA. He's been a Patreon member for years, and he makes a quality product. They're enamel pins, and he's been hit hard by the coronavirus pandemic, since a huge chunk of his sales come from convention sales. And he goes to places like the AVN Awards, and he can't do that because we ain't having conventions for a while, except maybe ManwhoreCon. It's a very small convention. So I wanted to show him some love because I hope people out there, I hope you'll hear this and give him some love back. My favorite pin is it's a Hitachi with the Elder Wand symbol from Harry Potter, so it becomes literally a magic wand. That's so cool. He's also got t-shirts and other goodies over there with some of these fun, geeky, and kinky designs. And he's willing to offer Manwhore Podcast listeners a special deal. Buy at least 3 pins and you're going to get one for free. All you got to do is go to geekyandkinky.com and use promo code MANWHORE. That's Geeky and Kinky, GeekyKinky.com, and use promo code MANWHORE when you buy at least 3 pins. So buy 4 pins, use the code, you pay for 3. You know what I meant. One more time, geekyandkinky.com, promo code MANWHORE. Not for nothing, he's also a great Instagram follow, at Geeky and Kinky Pins. Seriously, so cool. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Manwhore Podcast.
Shout out to all of you lovebirds, you horn dogs, you smitten kittens, and all of you cuddle monsters. This is Billy Procida, and you are listening to the Manwhore Podcast. Welcome to the show if you're new. Welcome back if you're not. This is the Sex Positive Podcast hosted by a comedian that's not a comedy show. And I've got a jam-packed episode for y'all this week, everybody. My main guest this week is porn star Lauren Phillips. We're also going to hear some phone sex tips from dating coach Adam Lyons. And you know what? Longtime fan whores are going to appreciate hearing a few throwback voices who have something new to say. And I can't wait to share all that with y'all in a little bit. But first, hey, Australian fan whores. Australian whoreheads, are you listening? I need your help. Not only do I want you to go out and buy a copy of Marie Claire magazine on May 7th, but gosh, if anyone could pick me up an extra copy or a few copies and mail them back to the States, that'd be super appreciated. Yeah, I've got an article coming out in Marie Claire magazine in Australia about my love on lockdown situation, my poly-quarantine, if you will. It's also kind of just like a love letter to my girlfriend that I got paid to write. But I can't buy it here in the States, so I do hope y'all will go check it out. And if anyone can pick me up a copy, hit me up. Speaking of my wonderful girlfriend, I hope you've all been enjoying our Corona cast, which is the extra episodes coming out on Saturdays until quarantine is over. Just a little bit of relationship updates from us. Everything from does Billy snore to, how to communicate in a fight under quarantine. And we even got my mom on the thing yesterday when we went to go visit. So, I hope you all are enjoying those. If you have a question specifically for Megan or for the Corona cast, we'd love to get them from you. So shoot us an email at manwhorepod@gmail.com. Let me know that is for Megan or for Corona cast, and you'll probably hear it on an upcoming Saturday. Again, that's manwhorepod@gmail.com. Many of y'all know that we have been doing a Manwhore March Madness bracket. Ever since the NCAA canceled the tournament, I was like, well, we still need something to gamble on. So I've been running a little March Madness style tournament on my Instagram stories. And we are down, everybody, to the final foursome. Oh, yeah. They can't televise this one on TV. We're down to the last 4 competitors for the best man horror podcast episode of all time. An accomplishment that the New York Times called, huh? And so I've hit them, the subjects of those 4 episodes. I've hit them all up asking if they'd share a few words about how they feel having come so far. So the first person we're going to be hearing from is Roxanne from episode 180, The Oral Sex Auditions.
Hi, Man Horror Podcast fans, and of course, the super awesome Billy. I can't believe that my episode has made it so far with you guys. I'm super honored. I think back to that day so fondly, constantly, and I pretty much tell everyone I know, like, you would not believe what I did. Honestly, at the end of the day, feminism is inviting a bunch of strangers to your house to eat you out, and I would like you to prove me wrong. Ha! Bye, guys. Thank you.
Prove her wrong, somebody. Prove her wrong. And if you do, you're probably second wave. Okay. Now, the oral sex auditions. Roxanne, she's going to be going up against the subject of episode 147, titled Kicking Dicks with Andrea Allen.
Hello, man whores, fans of the doors, big snores, colonoscopy bores. This is Andrea Allen saying thank you for nominating me to be your queen. I've had so much fun with Billy over the years, talking about kicking dicks, talking about how we can't have sex with one another, yelling at my ex-boyfriends on live shows, God, getting in fights with his fans about my use of colorful language, woo! Giving Billy a test to see if he was a sex addict and him passing with flying colors and then not doing anything about it. What a treat. I am so happy to be part of your fan whore fam. Thank you for nominating me. Let's take these fucking cucks out and make me the queen. Suck it.
That's going to be one hell of a matchup. And over on the other side of the bracket, the subject of episode 152, one of the naked episodes. I'm sure y'all remember those, where I met up with total strangers from the internet to talk about love and sexuality. Hillary actually made a comeback last year, but her original episode 152 has made it to the final foursome, and, well, she'd just like to say a few words.
Hey everybody, it's Hillary from the Naked episode. I'm honored to have made it this far, and I'm glad someone enjoyed my stories. If anyone listened to my more recent episode, I just wanted to let you know that I'm doing so much better now, and I'm like the happiest I've ever been, aside from the current global situation. Thanks.
Hillary will be going up against a much more recent episode. An episode so good, it's not only made its way into this tournament, but has also found its way to the final foursome. From episode 306, we've got Brian from the Front Porch Swingers. Let's hear what Brian's got to say.
Hey everyone, this is Brian from Front Porch Swingers. I'm really honored to be part of the final 4 of Billy's best episode bracket. Super excited to think that we were just in Vegas during an AVN convention and I could have been hanging out with porn stars, instead talking to Billy about my failed marriages and the cartel. Although, to be fair, it did end with my significant other sucking both of our cocks. So it wasn't a complete and total loss. And apparently what happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas. I've promised Billy if I win this entire thing, there's a whole lot more stories to come the next time we talk. Thanks, everyone.
Voting for the best Man Whore podcast episode ever is going to reconvene tomorrow, Thursday, on my Instagram stories. Follow me on Instagram at BillyIsProcida. That's PROCIDA. Get voting and make your voice heard. Because you know what? The president administration may not let you do voting in November. So, vote on anything you can up until then. You know, a few years from now, you might be just, you might be sitting around being like, hey, remember voting? That was crazy. Okay, before we get to this week's guest, Lauren Phillips, we are going to hear some phone sex tips from dating coach Adam Lyons. Adam and I recorded a bonus episode that's available exclusively on Patreon. That's going to drop tomorrow. And we talk a lot about his work and evolution as a dating coach and, some of the philosophies that he goes by. But for now, Adam wants to share some phone sex tips with you all to hopefully help you through some coronavirus frustrations. All right, everybody. I've got on dating coach Adam Lyons with us. He's going to share some exciting phone sex tips to help us all out during this quarantine lockdown. How you doing, Adam?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks ever so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, so when your publicist reached out, like she was leading with like he's got some phone sex tips, and I got to say I'm not a big phone sex guy. I feel like I was in my like early and mid 20s, and definitely like fell out of favor with it. Partially because like I don't know what the fuck to say.
Yeah, I got you, man. I understand. I think a key part of this is just understanding like the difference between men and women. You know, you think about like fiction novels. The most popular fiction novels of all time are romance novels read by women. So they love this stuff. And you got to understand like, why are we doing phone sex? Is it for the guy or is it for your girl? And during this interesting time, you know, we're recording this, we've got quarantine going on. There are a lot of relationships that are struggling. And if you as a guy have this ability to sort of like feed that need of your partner to get that visualization of that romantic sexual nature that you can get over the phone sex, they're going to be feeling a little bit more satisfied than they would be otherwise. And in return, they're going to feed that dude thing that you need, which is they're going to send you naked pictures. That's basically the way of thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, well, but I don't know how much, like how gendered it needs to be in as much as like, I love when I receive like a long flowery text message of like how much they like my body and what they're imagining. Like I like receiving phone sex, but I don't like giving it because I just don't think I'm good at it. Like I can do phone sex if I'm not turned on. Like if I'm just driving in the car and like my girlfriend's horny and wants me to do a thing, like I could probably get on the phone and like do some phone sexing, but like I'm not going to be touching myself during it because like I can do one or the other.
Yeah, driving and touching yourself at the same time is probably not the best.
Sure. So what are some phone sex tips you would give to people who maybe, you know, they got some sexy loved ones elsewhere, and this is kind of the way to get each other off right now?
So number one, I think the first thing is to realize it is about creating an image for your partner, not necessarily for you. So I think you had a good point there. The fact that you're better at it when, you know, you're kind of like not in the sexy mode when you're driving is kind of part of it. There is an element to this that it's almost like a pre-foreplay. So it is nice if initially you kind of stay calm and focus on creating the scenario for your partner. The very first thing that I get people to is actually start reading erotic fiction. There's a ton of free resources online that you can go to and just get used to reading it. And initially you can just read it out loud to your partner. And that like makes a big difference just to get you into the swing of things where you're just reading to start off with. And then you can start feeding that and going backwards and forward where they read something to you. And it's almost like you're serving them first of all and giving them what they want, and then they're returning the favor kind of thing, and you go backwards and forward.
Right. And how, so is building a narrative really important? Because I'm a creative human being, but I don't think a lot of people see themselves as that. And they think, oh shit, I got to come up with a storyline and a denouement. Like what?
Yeah, no, and I think that's why reading first helps. Like I remember I've done some creative writing as well, and I found the thing that fuels my creative writing more than anything is when I read fiction. And so if you can get them to read that first, that helps. Another tip, and this is moving on to the second tip, which I think is also important, that is find out what your partner wants their body to be called. There's like nothing worse than you start talking about your private parts, or they talk about your private parts in a way that you don't want them described. If she suddenly says, I'm going to grab hold of Captain Awesome. You're like, wait, what? Wait, what is that? It's like, you're just lost. You're out of it. In the same way, she might not want you to clinically describe her body parts. Like, I grab your vulva, and then she's like, no, stop.
But then some sex nerds, like, they only want you to use the terms. They like, it's almost as if they want to know that you know the word vulva. They'd be like, that's the key to knowing he knows what the fuck this is called. But yeah, I agree. That's probably good to do like a, even before, like a pre phone sex check of just like, almost like when you meet someone new and you're asking like, your name, where you from, what are your pronouns? Be like, okay, so like, is this your cunt? Is it your pussy? Is it your vaginal canal? Like, what do you want it to be?
Exactly, yeah. And getting that down really helps. And so all this stuff is like the pre-stuff that people do, in the same way that like when we first learned to have sex, like your first time you have sex, like you're still learning, you're still piecing it together. You suddenly learn that, oh, foreplay is kind of important. And then before foreplay, oh wow, kissing is important. Oh, talking to them about sex is important. It's the same with phone sex. Rather than just getting straight into it, like, yeah, so I'm just pounding away at you. Like, just learn what they want. Get practicing just reading to each other erotic fiction. These two elements will make a massive difference on the way that your phone sex starts to develop. And that's when you can really get into the fun of phone sex, which is you can play out fantasies that you could never do in real life. And this is the best part. Like when you're describing scenarios that they've always imagined. Like, for example, in phone sex, you can transport to a different time period. You know, I've absolutely, had a woman who had a fantasy about being forcibly taken during World War One. And that was like a fantasy they'd always had, which we obviously, we could play out, but that'd be a pretty expensive trip to Army surplus. Instead, with phone sex, I could describe it to her over the phone, and she was going wild about it. It was like her dream fantasy. And then to take it a step further, when you eventually do hang out, while we were, having sex, we turn the lights out, and I would describe everything while having sex with her, and it was just as much of a turn on, and it brought back all the fantasies we'd done in phone sex.
Yeah, no, okay, I dig that. I dig that. Now, what happens when we're running out? And I know this is a lot of I've heard a lot of people complain about this. Like when we've run out of, say, the certain terminology, and you're starting to repeat yourself. Is that as unsexy as I think it is, or are there tricks to kind of keep your diction diverse?
So yeah, great point here. I think people are always going to run out of ways to say something, and this is where reading helps, because you're going to learn a lot of different ways to illustrate elements. However, you can also pause the scenario if we're dealing with a scenario and restart a scenario. In the same way, if you think about people that look at porn videos, they'll switch to find the perfect clip. They want to go and hunt until they find that one clip they really need. With phone sex, you can shift scenarios. So, for example, the woman that wanted the World War One scenario, I could then shift it, and it could now be a modern day setting, or I could shift it again, and now there are 3 people, or I can shift it again, and by continually changing the scenario, you'll eventually hit the one that they need to climax.
It's like
and then
it's like Bandersnatch. Like you just if you choose the wrong. If you choose the wrong route, you can just start over to this scene and choose a different way.
Yeah, which is exactly what porn is, pretty much. Like, people just keep clicking through, or it's the same as watching Netflix. There's nothing on. You're just constantly clicking until you find the right thing, and it's the same point, but you can do it with phone sex. And then it's realizing that then at a certain point it becomes about the breathing. It becomes about feeling the energy down the end of the phone line, and that's when you start building up towards climax.
Yeah. The one thing I am comfortable with that I can do while aroused with a partner over the phone or webcam or something are the sounds. Like I can do the sound effects really well. I can do the moans. I can do the, but for me, it's not even me playing them up that much. I'm genuinely feeling them. I think a lot of dudes don't realize how much women fucking, or just people in general, love hearing their partner moan, how much they love hearing their partner make the noises of them touching themselves. And even if you're playing it up a little bit, they fucking love it. Like the amount of women who tell me over, whether it was phone sex back in the day or when people watched me on webcam, they loved the moaning the most. They loved how genuine and sincere it seemed and sounded.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. And I think if you break phone sex down into 3 parts, with part 1 being we're going to describe a number of different scenarios and settings until the woman gets into it, or until you and your partner get into it. And then 2, once you find the setting that's good, you guys enjoy that one in full. And then you move into the moaning and the touching and hearing the voice, hearing each other, and that's when everything's really good.
How much of an advantage do you have by being British?
I get this question all the time. When I was learning about dating myself, I was living in England. I didn't come to live in America until I'd already been voted one of the top dating coaches in the world by other dating coaches. So at that point, I came to America and I was like, oh, it is really easy. I should have just come here first. So I missed out on the benefit, I think.
Should Americans be trying to adopt other accents during their phone sex, or should we be ourselves?
I think it's so much better if you're yourself. I will say, however, Americans have an advantage in other countries. There are definitely countries that like the American accent, that find it a turn on.
And those countries are wrong. It's such an. We sound so ugly over here.
I feel the same about the British accent. Because we have it like, I don't know if there's some really good comedians that do some jokes about like what it's like having sex with a British person. Where they're like, I'm arriving, and it's like it doesn't sound as sexy as you want it to.
Yeah, but it also sounds like the dictionary is having sex with you, and that's what I dig about a British accent.
You can definitely put on the sexy version, I suppose.
And Adam, and we're about to record an awesome bonus episode that's coming out on Patreon tomorrow. But for everybody listening right now, just tell us a little bit about you are a dating coach here in the States. Am I correct?
Yep, I've been a dating coach for the last 15 years. I like to think of it as, if you're in a relationship and your relationship's struggling, you see a relationship counselor to have you, get help. But if your partner doesn't want to help you, or if you don't have a partner, who do you go and get help from? And that's where a dating coach comes in.
Mm-hmm. And who are your clients typically? Do you work with men and women? Do you primarily work with men? Do you work with like straight people, or do you work with kind of anybody, no matter where they're on the spectrum? Like, where's your specialty lie?
We accept absolutely anybody. Our specialization is really men and women aged 36 to 45, usually either young professionals, entrepreneurs, or business owners. And these are people that they've basically spent their entire life focusing on their career to be successful, thinking that the relationship would come naturally, and now it hasn't. And they don't want to, do the weird thing that, there's the pickup artist movement of running out in the street and using weird lines or wearing funny hats. They want to meet people naturally, probably not in a bar or in a nightclub, and they just don't really know how to do it. They've tried online dating, it isn't really working, and now they want to try something different.
All right, man. And if people are interested in your content that you're putting out there, if they're interested in you as a dating coach, where can they go find you?
AskTheDatingCoach.com is like the best place to find stuff. We have a ton of like free resources there that we believe in helping people for free first, and hopefully we can help them. And then if not, if somebody wants more attention, they reach out to us.
Fantastic, man. Well, I'm looking forward to chatting with you some more for the bonus episode. But for now, why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
Perfect. Hey, thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate you.
Over the last 6 weeks, it has just been a godsend to be a part of such an amazing, community of sex positive and sexy folks. I'm loving being in the champagne room and the peep show and, having phone calls and email exchanges with my Patreon members. Love it. Community is so important, as I've seen, and it seems to be very important to you all. And that's why I want to open up yet another way you all can connect with each other. I am opening up a new tier of membership on my Patreon. All $7 and up members will not only gain access to my private Patreon-only posts, access to the super secret Facebook group, The Champagne Room, some nudie pictures of Billy, and nearly 200 bonus episodes. On top of all of that, $7 members will be invited to a monthly Zoom video hangout. Members of the Peep Show surely know each other in a very intimate way, but, I would love for more of my Patreon members to be able to connect with one another. The first hour of the chat will be clothed. The second half will be clothing optional because I know how my freaky fans can be. The first of these calls will be on May 7th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I've been loving hanging out with everybody so far, and I'm glad that we'll be able to invite even more people to hop on the Zoom calls. And you can become a member today at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. And now for the fan whore appreciation moment. Okay. This is the part of the podcast where I like to give a shout out to some of the members of our fan whore community on the Patreon. For example, Cassandra, a cute little darling from the Midwest. Hey, the Peep Show misses you, honey. We all hope things are going okay back home, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you to Nathan Williams from Boston. What you going to do without your Tom Brady, Boston? I don't know, but hey, I'm glad to have you in the community. I want to give a shout out to Penny Beretta. Oh, you, right. Hi. We were just DMing on Instagram last night. Penny Beretta is such a fun name. It's either the name of a gun or a burlesque dancer. I don't know, but I'm glad that she's part of the community. And I want to give a shout out to James. Thanks, you hamhead. Much appreciated. Glad to have you aboard. And now for this week's guest, Lauren Phillips. I connected with Lauren up at the AVN Awards. This is an oldie. We're talking actually, it's interesting because we recorded this back at the end of January, but we're talking about, staying connected with people in a way that's obviously super relevant to right now. And I'm excited to share with y'all this week. Let's get into me with Lauren Phillips.
Well, I think when it comes, because I cam.
Yeah.
So I'm so used to having you have the camera there. No one's responding to you.
Yeah.
So
or they're not responding to what you say.
It's not like this, they're just typing and I have to kind of catch the readings of it.
Yeah. You might share some sort of soliloquy about that day at the grocery store and they're like, cool, show your tits.
Kind of. You'd be surprised. They get really in depth. I've had a couple fans that kind of I had one fan that lost, he was transitioning into jobs and I was there as a mental support.
Yeah.
And I had one when I moved to LA, kind of helped the transition of me getting there as well.
Oh.
So no, they're very supportive. It's not just, yes, they want that sexual connection, but they still want to get the person more of a, it's like a sexual therapist.
Well, it's if they can get into you, and which is, I think, the beautiful thing about I've been talking about this a lot recently, where it's whether it's porn or comedy or music, there's a lot of this, even if the content isn't this elite level content. So if you're not making the best raps in the game, but people love you through your social media, through your TikTok, through your stories, whatever. It's people are fucking rabid for whatever you're making.
Yeah. It's it's hard to explain. People still want that connection. And I think it's a human thing. You know, back in the day when you would meet somebody, you would go to social events and stuff like that. It was just, that was the thing. But now everything's on the internet. So I think people are craving more of that social connection because they're not really physically getting it. Physically.
Yeah. Well, I was just talking about this with Penny, right before I got here, was we were talking about JOI videos and she was like, I love them. My husband doesn't see the appeal. And I was like, well, I dig them. And she was like, what's the appeal? And I was like, cause it's this one-on-one thing. It feels like she's not performing for whoever's watching. It's right now, this eye contact with the camera. It's instructions to me. It's so it was I
always feel like it's for a guy. It's a person even though you are jerking your own dick, it's the person is actually jerking your dick because they're telling you how to do it.
Yeah. And it makes me feel more connected to that video, to that performer, to that.
I do a lot of JOIs. My fans love them.
How do you keep them fun and different?
I basically describe it how I would actually do it. And each thing is just different. Sometimes I do a tease and denial.
Okay.
So then they don't get to come.
Yeah. See, I have issue with within the world of JOI with the ruined orgasm ones, because if you're not into it and it's not labeled as such.
Yeah, no,
that's a long 15 minutes to then at the very end find out I'm not allowed. I was like, oh, son of a bitch. It's you get to 2 and I'm like, you're kidding me. Because you still come, but now I'm angry. I'm like, oh.
I also play with edging.
Edging's
dope.
So
it's I don't call it a tease and denial. It's more of a tease. So I'll usually sometimes tell the guy to stop jerking.
I like those where it's not part of, it's not the end of it, but it's a pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost it's almost like red light, green light type feel.
and I've seen literal JOIs that were red light, green light.
And then sometimes I have a countdown. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I take a longer countdown. So I'll do a countdown and then I'll add dirty talk a little bit and I stretch it out where it's almost they're waiting for me to say one. What else? I don't know. I usually
you
when
just
I do them,
different accents, different costumes.
Sometimes if it's a custom or something, but it's usually if it's for me, I do a theme and how I feel that day is the way that theme's gonna go.
Okay.
So because I feel if I overthink it, it's not like natural.
Okay.
A sex is a very natural thing that comes to people. It's a connection. If you overthink it, then you kind of lose that, like, I don't know, organic connection that you would have with somebody.
Right, but if you're making making content at the volume at which you do, I feel like if I were doing it, I would at some point go, well, I'm not going to catch lightning in the bottle every time I just go with what I'm feeling. So
I have off days. It's just like when I'm on set. Like if they're like, I've had some times where, like we talked about, I can talk a lot, but like if I'm super tired, if I've shot a lot or something like that, and I go on set and they want me to most of the time they want me to ad-lib a lot of stuff. Because they know that I can talk and they know I can run with anything. But I have off days just like everybody else, where I'm kind of like trying to figure out what to say, or kind of like nothing's coming to my brain at that time. It's usually that's when I'm tired. But
like, could someone watch you camming and like tell that like, maybe Lauren just needs to have a nap instead.
Yeah. I've had where I just like don't know what to talk about anymore, and I'm like, damn, I must be fucking tired, because usually that's what it is, because it's just like my brain wants to shut down.
The camming was always cool. And you were saying before, like connecting with specific people or knowing specific folks. Do you keep notes? Because like when I used to cam, I remember keeping notes. I'd be like, this one's in his early 40s, divorced, probably bisexual, or like this one, just came out or just had a breakup and stuff like that. And that was when they came back. I could be like, oh, how you doing with the breakup?
I should. And actually something I want to start doing, what it's called, like a CRM or something like that, a client something management. Client relationship management.
Yeah.
I actually looked into it, and I need to start doing that. I just have really good memory.
So you really just be like, I know that username and I remember what we've talked about.
I know their username better than I know their name. And then I can understand, I know what we like, usually can remember what we talk about. That's something, it's remembering someone's name. That's like usually my fucking problem.
That's literally, I have upset, my roommate will have like friends over, and I will keep asking for their names again.
Yeah.
And he's like, Billy, this is the 8th time you met them. It's starting to be disrespectful. But it's like, I can name all the things we've talked about.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I know you majored in this and you do poetry, but you also work retail and you fucking hate it. And you also have a crush on the cashier. Like, I feel like those are more important things to remember than whatever letters your parents picked when you got born.
Yeah. Like, it's just like, when I see people, like, I'll be like, oh, did you find that house yet? Oh, like, how's your dog? Like, things that, like, I probably have seen them in set, like, months ago.
Yeah.
And then when I see them, I can say, how is this? Oh, how are you doing? I know this happened to you, blah, blah, blah. I saw this on, like, Twitter. Like, I go up to people, and if someone, like, perfect example, Bridget B, right?
Okay.
When I saw her, I went up and said, congratulations for being a contract star. She got a contract star. I just saw it on Twitter. I didn't have to. And I saw it a while ago, but I made sure to like do that. It's just like little things I feel like,
it makes it feel like you actually listen to whenever we spoke. Like if we run into each other at AVN next year and you're like, podcast guy, how was something that we ended up talking about during this? I would rather you remember that. Oh, that's the guy I did that podcast with, and he told me about this thing with his girlfriend. Oh, I wonder how that went.
Yeah.
I'd rather that than you just remembering, hey, Billy, and nothing else.
Yeah. And it's funny because I have fans that come up to me all the time and like, do you remember me? And I really, just really bad at names. But if they like recall, I can like remember I remember their faces.
Give me a hint. Vinny from Minnesota. Oh, now I know.
Yeah, right.
Just give me enough of it. How long have you been camming versus were you camming before you got into scene work?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you been on the webcam?
6 years.
6 years. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
What was your first site?
I started out on Streamate. I was there for I think about 6 months, and then I went to Chatterbait, and I've been on Chatterbait for a solid 6 years. I have been on MFC when I was a full-time cam girl. So I did 40 hours a week. It was like a job. It was like I took it very seriously. And I would go and chatterbait in the morning, and then I would take like an hour and a half break, like like a job, and then I would do my free cams.
Would you have it on your calendar, just like hanging there? Be like, this is the days we're doing the things.
Yeah.
We're taking our top off these days.
Yeah, I would do Monday through Friday.
I got to make my wheel.
Yeah, I would do Monday through Friday, and then I would shoot content on the weekend. Yeah, it was a thing. Like, it's now that
and were you also carrying a job in the beginning of that?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I moved to Florida by myself, and I had started doing a little bit of porn. And then my friend told me, and I met the person that told me about camming. I had just started doing a little bit of porn, and like nude modeling was Carrie Riley. Yeah. She's amateur pro. No, amateur, I think now. And, she was like, you should get on Street Mate. And I was like, you should cam. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And I just did it, and it was a hit. And I was like, perfect. And it just.
Did you delay going to do more? You said I was doing a little bit of porn. Did you just stop doing the porn for a bit to just
I
cam?
did my own porn at that time. Yeah.
Okay.
It was, I saw a lot of like, the stories I was hearing from people, because I love talking to people and getting their like advice, maybe some opinions, like their experiences and stuff like that.
Camming?
On adult in general. And I had noticed a lot of porn like had a revolving door, and I didn't want to be part of the revolving door. So I was like, this was before cam girls were doing porn. It was not a thing yet.
Right.
Like AVN was 2 porn stars was hosting it. It was not, My Free Cams wasn't a sponsor. Chatterbait wasn't there.
It used to be like with TV and film, like you didn't do both.
Yeah. So this was before it wasn't really popular. So like, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to get on cam. I'll build my name up. And then when I'm ready and I save up enough money, I'm going to go to LA. And that's what I did. I was not recruited on cam. I purposely did, that was my business plan. So after camming for 2.5 years, I decided to move to LA, and that's what I did.
When did camming start to get the, industry respect, if I'm saying it right?
I want to say a year after I want to say a full year in LA was when, it wasn't that cam girls were coming into porn. Agents were going onto cam sites recruiting cam girls.
The way like an agent in Hollywood might like go look through YouTube series and find the next star on there and just be like,
that was like, oh, I got recruited. I got recruited off Chatterbaiter. I got recruited off such and such. And I was like, interesting. And now a lot of like cam girls will do like a couple porn and then they just go and do camming. But mine was like, I wanted to cam, but my main goal was to be a porn star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you decide like I want to be a porn star?
It's so funny because
it's one of those jobs like so are you familiar with Jim Gaffigan? He's a stand-up comedian and he has like a joke about like the Pope, and it's like somewhere there must have been a kid who growing up was like, I want to be Pope, and he's like, acting out. I was like, here he comes, the most holy of holy, Pope Jim. It's like porn's also one of those jobs where it's like you don't think about kids thinking they want to grow up to be that. Like you don't think the kid grows up wanting to be Pope. I have to say,
I wasn't like when I was 8 going like, yeah, man, I'm gonna be a porn star.
No, but like that's what I'm saying. It's like that's not a thing. So it's like it's a very much adult thing people think about becoming.
It's funny because what happened was that I was a professional dancer for 5 years. I have a degree in dance from Rutgers. And
what kind of dance did you do?
Modern dance.
Oh, modern. The most confusing of the dances.
It's artistic.
It's artistic.
I don't like things with a lot of rules. And I don't. And I've been like
a true Jersey girl, by the way.
I have always been the type of chick that I don't like a lot of rules, and I don't like forming to society. So if society's saying that the American dream is for me to get married, have kids, and have a white picket fence, I'm the one like, oh, fuck that shit. I'm going to go be a porn star.
Right. It's like, what can I think of that's semi-opposite
Yeah.
to that?
And it was the same thing with dance. Like, I was trained in everything. But ballet had too many rules, and modern was very rebellious type art at that time. Now they have a ton of like hip hop wasn't even popular yet; it was just coming out, or lyrical and stuff like that. But so I was also a backup dancer for a Tina Turner impersonator, and one of my
That's a spot on the resume.
One of my dancer friends who I actually taught when I taught her when she was in high school. We were almost close to the same age, just a little older than her. And we became really good friends. I'm still friends with her, actually. And I was losing that love for my art, that that passion. It was starting to feel like a job, and I'm trying to survive. I was working 4 jobs trying to survive. And she just turned, I remember saying, I have to figure out something else to do. Like, I can't do this. I don't want to lose. I'd rather dance be a hobby and our extra money instead of being my main job. And she was like, Lauren, you would be great as a porn star.
Where'd that come from? How'd you react to that? Sincerely.
Never thought of that. I was intrigued. I was always a sexual person now.
Yeah.
Like, I've always been everyone always felt comfortable talking about sex with me. I was a very sexual person. I think at one point I sold sex toys. I told you I had a lot of jobs.
I like how you say, like, I think of all these like hustles I had. I think I did that one too.
I did at one point. It was such a short amount of time, but
you were very why do you think people came to you to share?
I think people felt comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think people know when other people are judging them. And that's what makes us feel uncomfortable, is if someone's judging us, because we fear what their judgment's going to be about. So if you're there listening to somebody and not judging them and just truly listening, because you can tell when someone's listening and how they respond. People are really appreciative about it, because I don't think a lot of people listen to each other.
But there's something about you that has to bring out, like, you're getting the sex questions and the sex stories as opposed to getting these other types of questions. Like I get people asking me about like polyamory because I'm very open about my relationship models, and so, but it's only because I put that flag out there that people came.
Well, you always have to give a little to get a little. Sure. So. It's been so long since I've done that. God, I'm like, I have to give.
Like, were you the friend in college talking about sex all the time?
I was the one to be like, oh, blah, 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 or this and this and this, and then it would just go on. I remember people talking, like asking like advice. I remember this one girl. I was working in a preschool, and
a lot of jobs. I sold sex toys sometimes. I worked in a preschool.
I told you I had a lot of jobs, and one of the teachers there, I forget at the time. I think I was part-time selling sex toys, and she had started dating this guy who was really big. And I
big,
was
like husky big, or big, like, cock big? Okay.
Yeah. And she's like, I can't take it. I don't know what to do. And at the time I was selling sex toys. So I was like, well, you need to stretch yourself out. And I was like, telling her what toys and how to ease into it. Now they're married and they have like twins. And it was so like, I don't know.
Thanks to you.
Thanks to me.
It's like you helped her stretch out that pussy to take that.
I don't know. I feel like, and I don't mean this as like a cocky thing, because I don't really try to. I'm very humble. I feel like I have a face where people like to talk to me, and I respond very well. So I think people just like to talk to somebody like that. Like I smile at people all the time, and that like, cause I just naturally smile, and people just come up and start talking to me. I used to when I would go to Philadelphia and take dance class and stuff, I would talk to random people all the time. It was it's a Jersey thing, I guess.
I mean, I mean, I get that too. And I live in New York City where like I feel like people just think you can just do that, but I don't know why. I get a lot of people who just start telling me life stories, and sometimes I'm very open to listen to it if I'm just really bored and I feel like being amused. But also, there's times when I'm just like, dude, come on, I'm trying to listen to my podcast. I'm trying to read my book. I don't really need to hear this.
We're all like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's after a while you're kind of like, I don't feel like sharing today. You know, it's like,
and also I sometimes am not. I don't feel like receiving your share today.
Yeah.
And so at these conventions, I feel for you gals so hard at these things, you know, like AVN or Exotic or XBiz or something, because like you've got these people who are so excited to come see you, and there's definitely some social awkward folks amongst that crowd, and they just kind of want to share, and there's excited, and a lot of times it's not coming from a malicious place, so, and you know this,
they're just
and
really
yet,
excited,
and so it's like I feel like, how do you maintain a boundary, or how do you advocate for when you're just kind of done receiving that, even though you know they're not doing anything objectively wrong, you just are like, I'm kind of tapped out.
All right, so this is the thing, all right? This is how I was taught, all right?
Okay.
I was taught when I was a dancer, when you enter that door, right, you're getting ready for work, you leave your shit at the door. So when I'm in that convention, I am Lauren Phillips, and I am there as a performer. And all my fans and I like fans, but I like to call them supporters because they're helping me. If it wasn't for them, like, you know, even searching me on Pornhub and watching and getting me views, man, it helps me. They are spending their money to see me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my shit at the door. And if I have to go guzzle like some soda to get me some like energy, I will. But I would, at the end of the day, it's still work. Like I wouldn't want to go to like, you know, if you go to like a Starbucks sometimes or like a coffee place or like you go out shopping and the person like kind of brushes you off and it kind of like affects you. Yeah. Like I've gone to a place and they're like here and I'll sarcastically be like, I hope you have a really great day today. And it kind of clicks into their mind that you're at work. When I was in high school and I used to work at a grocery store, because I've been there. I did the small jobs just as well. I did the jobs that you had to like a 9 to 5. I was in high school, so it wasn't really 9 to 5, but you know what I mean. And minimum wage was way lower than it is now. And I always went there with a smile on my face because I think people forget that we all affect each other. We all influence each other and stuff like that. So when I'm at the convention center, I leave my shit at the door and I'm there for my supporters. I'm there for them. I've never snapped anyone unless they're rude to me.
Right.
I might put them like today I was trying to get to my booth. And this is going to be funny. I hate being late. I actually get really...
See, it's more like you were on time for the second one. It's like...
I actually get really anxious. Like, I'll get really, really anxious if I know I'm going to be late. Like, I have to be 15 minutes early for everything. It's a thing. My heart will start pounding. It's like... So I had an interview... And I had to rush to get to my booth. And there's a big group. And I'm like flowing around. I'm like, hey guys. And I'm trying to go. And this one like douchebag is like, oh, you're just going to get cut in front of us? Like, we're not moving either. And then, of course, I go to him. I was like, dude, you can be sarcastic to me all day long. I'm from New Jersey. I'm raised with it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if I was you, I would just like grab the tits and be like, this is why I get to cut in front of you.
I'm like, dude, I'm getting paid to be at this booth. It's my job.
You paid to see me.
You're paying to be here. I am being paid to be here. So I have to be here. So, yeah, but that's the only.
But if someone's like coming at you like sincere and polite, like you will stick it out. You will Elizabeth Warren 10,000 selfie line so everyone's good.
I've had a lot of like people that could sometimes cross the line. I've had stalkers that would just stand there or like if they touch me without my consent. And I just, I always say it's I call it refining my boundaries. And I'm like, dude, I have way more control in here than you do. If you cross the line, it just takes a snap for you to get kicked out and you will not be allowed in here anymore. So I think, My fans are really good. Like I actually promote the same thing on social media. There's my supporters are very positive oriented, and I think that's because I reflect that on air. So like when someone might say, "Oh, Lauren, you're prettier than her," I'd be like, 2 is always better than 1.
We're both gorgeous. Why can't we? Why are we pitting one against the other?
I always try to have a positive twist.
Yeah.
Like, or if I see like maybe they put me like they'll do like reverse it and put me down. I'll be like, yeah, but I'm the one that's closer to getting into her pussy than you.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. You know, it's just like, I'm very against negativity, and I feel like it reflects in my brand.
Where did that attitude come from? It's not like you decide I'm going to be the positive brand chick.
I just know negativity is very like mean and it hurts, and I've been bullied throughout my life, and then being an adult and being cyberbullied, it has really been an effect too. And I don't think people understand, like, I'm like 32 years old, and when you have a few years ago when I was like in my late 20s and I got cyberbullied, I don't think people understand that I'm still human, and having like people go at you like all at once and no one is there to like stick up for you. It hurts because like I know a ton of people around here. Like I know a lot of people. I was always taught you say hi to people. Everyone I see, I always say hi. I always acknowledge them.
That was a parents taught you. You're always...
Yeah. So it just hurts. So I know what it feels like, and if I don't want to feel that way, I would never want someone to feel that way either. And I was raised Catholic, even though I don't continue to do it.
You saw the light, and the light said, "This might not be real."
I'm a very open person now. Like I believe in treat others as you like to be treated, and I'm very like that. And I am glad that my parents raised me that way.
The teachings of the Bible, which the people who actually really love the Bible seem to have forgotten.
Yeah, I am not here to judge anybody. Yeah. I'm not here to be mean to anybody. I'm here to bring a little like intimacy, and doesn't have to be with one person. I have couples that come up to me all the time and they're like, "We love your porn." Like I help people, with like a little bliss sometimes,
but there's still got to be some kind of some darkness somewhere in this head thing of yours.
Really?
My mom is like also a super positive, also Catholic, Jersey girl. It was super positive, bright. She's probably one of the most optimistic people I'll ever meet in my life. She's the type of person who she'll make the type of joke if you're like having a rough day. She'll be like, "Don't forget what my blood type is. Be positive," right? Beautiful. But
I'm not like that too much.
But bright, chipper, and like trying to like keep the positivity going. If the FBI knocked on my door tomorrow and said my mom's a mass serial murderer, I'd be like, I could see it. Anyone that cheerful, there's something you're hiding.
No,
Someone's got to be hiding.
I have my downsides. Yeah. Like, I can get depressed sometimes. Like, I'm normal. I suffer from a body dysmorphia. So like, people all around me all the time say how beautiful I am, and I don't believe it. Like I look in the mirror and I don't see what they see, and it's something I suffer with since I was, a dancer. When I was a dancer, I stayed at myself in a mirror in a leotard and tights, and you got poked and prodded. So be like,
you're like, "Where's that?
Yeah,
I could fix that the quarter-inch thing that you can grab, which is just called skin."
Yeah, so it's like I'm not perfect. But
what's your outlet for it? Because it doesn't seem, it seems like you don't let that affect your interaction with fans.
Yeah, because that's not what the fans are trying to. I'm a fantasy. I'm the one they're supposed to come to me for that escape. So I have a try to have a personal life. But most of the time when I'm trying to like my relaxation to kind of get in is like I watch movies. I like reading books. I like escaping into that.
Do you do affirmations? You seem like you do some affirmations.
I do. Sometimes. I try to be good at it.
I'm trying them out now.
I try.
When I do my morning pages, if I'm feeling down, I try to throw in some affirmations and be like, "I provide value in this space. I'm a half decent person."
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I do it where I don't write them down. I write it down once, but then I'll say it in the mirror. And you're supposed to help you believe it because it's trying to basically retrain your subconscious.
Right.
Right now, like I've been going through a real like body dysmorphia thing. So right now, like everyone's like, "Oh, I love your body," and in my mind, I'm like, "Well, I'm glad you like it because I don't right now." And it's just something I'm going through. Like I'm going through. I don't want to say a period because that sounds retarded, but I'm going through a change right now. I'm 32. And as a woman, my body's going to naturally change anyway. And so like right now, my affirmation is I go in the mirror and I'm like, I love my body. I love my body. And I'll just repeat it like a good 5, maybe 10 times, depending on the time I have. But I've had so many compliments for like it's just so weird. Your subconscious is the endless bully in your head. Completely.
Yeah, all the bullies from grade school, they still live up there, and it's just like, I mean, I talk about. I mean, I also have my eating disorder issues, and I'm pretty open, vocal about it, which causes people on like Instagram and shit to go like, "Hey, like you're not this." I'm like, "Yeah, but not like."
It's a mental thing.
It's totally mental. Yeah. Although I did finally start identifying as cute like about a year or two ago. I was like, I will call myself cute, but I'm not going to love my body yet.
It's funny because like my mind, like I consider myself pretty, but when people are like, "Oh, you're so gorgeous," or stuff like that, I don't see it. I'm just me, and I'm just like, I've accepted I am who I am, and that's how it's going to be. I've accepted my personality. My personality is not going to change. I'm always going to be honest in a nice way. If I'm honest and I'm brutally honest, it means I'm trying to help you usually because I am a very helpful person. I love helping people. If someone wants something, I'm the one that makes it happen. I've been like that my entire life. Everything like that. It's super funny. Like if a friend comes up to me and says, "I'm trying to do this," I will go out of my way to try to make it happen. Yeah. It's just, I've always been like, it's not going to change. I'm over ambitious and that's never going to change. So I've accepted my personality. It's just still like the body thing is just like
well, how's being in the industry? I went to the body positivity panel yesterday, which was
I don't get to go to those yet because I'm always signing.
Right. It was beautiful. There was a larger gentleman who is sharing. He's a bit. I mean, we're talking large fella, and he is like a new male talent, and it got very emotional, and he's like crying, and I'm sitting there trying not to cry, and I think other people trying not to cry.
I think it's
but like, how's being in the industry affect your relationship with your body? Are you the type to compare, or do others not matter? Or?
I try not to. That's a big thing. Like comparing yourself to somebody is so bad.
Sure, but we also, we are flawed people who have fucked up relationships with these meat skins we're in. And
it's so funny. Like you think about it, right? When you were a kid running around in your diaper or something, you have no cares in the world about how you look, right? Yeah. You're just like, fuck it, we start like thinking about our bodies about like teenage time. And it's just funny how like this whole form of how we should look is like basically everyone goes through it. It's not like one person or other. Everyone goes through it. And it's just intriguing how it's like that. But it's just how you were like saying that they were talking about the body, and everyone's getting emotional because we all go through it. We all don't like our imperfections. And it's so intriguing how the brain works. Like, it's like society has told us this is what perfection is, but there's no such thing as perfection.
That's certainly the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, it's funny. Like everyone's like, I like my girls natural. And then they're like watching Kim Kardashian. I'm like, she ain't natural.
Yeah. That's a lot of fake right there.
Yeah. And so it's intriguing.
Well, having the body issues that you had, as a dancer and then transitioning into porn, was that difficult for you? Did the porn validate things for you? I mean, like, how was it kind of being naked in front of other people, struggling with that?
Porn actually has given me more confidence because, and, it's funny because I always thought I it's so hard when you're in your 20s to now judge it. And now I'm like in my 30s and I'm like, well, God, man, I was in my 20s and this is like your time of trying to figure out who the fuck you are, you know? But, I did struggle then, but for like the porn, I think it's more of my supporters that give me the confidence.
How so?
And because they're very positive. Like, they're not just coming up to me saying, oh, you look good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they really, really mean it. And when my like other fellow adult stars and directors and stuff and are, I'm seeing improvements and I look at these photos and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And it's given me more confidence. It's just like, we all go up and down. It's like,
Sure.
you know, it's like the stock market, you know, you can't always be up. You know, there's always some type of down. And like right now I'm like in a little bit down and I'm trying to like this year to go back up. I'll figure out my way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like I wish I could like go into my brain, like, and pull out the file cabinets and be able to like decipher through everything. But the subconscious develops right when we get out of the wound. So like, you can't even like choose what you want to influence you. You know, you might be, you know, when you're a baby, you get a needle. All of a sudden it hurts. And as a baby in your subconscious, needle hurts. And now you're fear of needles. Because our conscious isn't even developed yet. Mm. So like it's like in my mind. I'm sorry, I'm so like into the brain. I'm
please,
like,
no, this is good. Are you kidding me? Yeah, come on.
But like, it's things like that is they start developing so much to try to pick it apart. God, man, that's a lot of fucking therapy.
Are you into those like little brain hacks? The life hacks that have to do with like, you know, you do this for 20 minutes, your brain's gonna recondition this, stuff like that.
No, I've
are fun.
I've done I believe in like doing like the word cross and like finding the words and stuff like that and keeping my memory sharp.
Okay.
I'm very like that and working the brain. Like when I do like my scripts and
how
stuff.
about crosswords?
I do crosswords. I do.
Do you New York Times app?
I'm way worse at crosswords. I'm more Sudoku.
Oh,
because I'm slightly OCD, so I like to count. So I like to go and try to get all the numbers and stuff like that. I like word searches because I like to kind of it's a pattern type thing. What else I usually do? I do like the little app that's supposed to help like exercise your brain. So you do like math, reading, you'll do like matching.
Yeah.
And just kind of exercise. I believe in that because, I just want to make sure I keep my brain sharp. Mm-hmm. I want my memory.
Yeah. And maybe by then you'll start to be able to like take in names.
I've given up on it, man. I feel like saying hey, you should count.
Yeah, unless it's like I don't know, like a significant other, because like I don't know, I feel like me saying to my girlfriend like, "Hey, you," I don't think she'll be my girlfriend for much longer.
That's why I say, "Hey, sweetie."
Yeah, there you go, right there. So I'm also told you are like the social media gal when it comes to porn. Like you are the award-winning social media queen.
I won 2 awards for social media.
Are those AVNs or
no?
Okay.
I have not won an AVN yet. No, that one was for Night Moves.
Okay.
And then the other one is Inked Awards.
So something that seems to be a trend of this things that I like bring up and I just noticed and I really get into talking about because I can do this like say with comedy I could do the same thing but like then I was just talking to Penny who's been doing this since like 2003 and so it's like what was like tell me the difference in like what has changed in the industry and social media is like key. Like you tell someone who wants to start doing porn or camming now, the first thing you tell them to do is like start a Twitter. Yeah. So like, can you tell us a little bit about how intricate social media is to porn today?
God, man, it's like a fucking bitch. It's funny because I feel like I have so much to learn. So I'm so grateful for those awards and being noticed for it because I feel like God, man, I have so much ambition. This is the over ambitious part of me where I'm like, I'm not where I'm at yet because my goal is like here and I'm only here right now. So all these awards, I'm like, thanks, but I'm not where I want to be yet.
What's the goal when you're pointing to the here? You're here.
So
what is this?
So
is this 1 million followers?
Yeah, I want 1 million followers on all social media. Not
Okay.
just, I don't want a favor one. I want them on all. Because I feel like when it's on all, it's more world. Because you'll see one with like, perfect example is like they have like 3 million followers on Instagram, but then you go on their like Twitter and they have like 500,000. Not saying that's not a lot. I want to be on all of it. So that's my goal it's actually my main goal for this year is that.
And what is it that you do that's so above and beyond compared to the other girls?
Well, I don't know because I don't know the other girls do. I feel like
you don't follow the other porn stars?
I do, but like I don't know how they run their business.
Right, but there's apparently what I'm told. Like I said, AVN I only sometimes get limited time to. I can't do the in-depth research like with each guest because everyone's like all one weekend. And the main thing that was stressed was like she loves to talk. You're gonna have fun talking with her. Ginger MILF type, and social media queen. And but that is so integral now.
Yeah, right
10,
now,
15 years ago, it wasn't even part of the business.
When I first got 6 years ago, when I got into porn, it wasn't mandatory. Like you had a social media, but it wasn't as big as it is now. Like everyone, like you have to have the followers. It's you have to have the links. You have to post every day. You have to be on it. So like when I go, like I went on vacation like before AVN and I was kind of like, I took like a break. It's like, where'd Lauren go?
Oh gosh.
You know?
Did you show up and you're checking your mentions and everyone's like, are you okay? Is everything fine?
I actually like would schedule like once a day. I would kind of put something up because I most of the time, I schedule most of the mandatory stuff. So like the photos I took yesterday, I've scheduled them for today. But I spread them out too. Like I don't like to put everything on one day either. And I try to make sure that I use trending hashtags as well. You know, it's all about the hashtag.
So if someone wants to get started in the industry today, maybe they just want to start camming or doing something like that, the combo stuff of the camming, the sexting, the phone sex, all that stuff. And the first thing you probably tell them is, okay, start social media accounts. What do you tell them to start posting when they literally are on like day one, week one? What are you posting to start building
I don't know.
a persona? I don't know. Well, what were you starting with?
I was just me.
I was just being Miley.
Most of the time when girls come up to me and they ask me questions like that, I say, this is what I say. There's a job called an advisor. And if you want my advice how to run your business, you can pay me. But technically, in my mind, there's enough people in this goddamn fucking industry. We don't need any more. And that's the Jersey girl.
Hey, as a comedian, gosh, do I feel that. I live in New York City where someone from Nebraska moves every day to start telling dick jokes in a basement. And
come on. You're just like, what the fuck, man? Because comedy is
there's only
really
so
hard
many
thing.
spots. Yeah.
So like in my mind, I'm like, I would like to consider me taking 2 dicks in my asshole is something not like there's a good percentage of people that can do it, but not everyone can do it. So I'm like, hey, I might not be a doctor, but you know, I don't see that doctor taking 2 dicks.
I can do double anal. Yeah.
Come on now. But
and then you see someone do their first double anal and be like, come on, there's too many of us doing double anal here. It's supposed to be my lane. Stay in your lane, lady. Do that double vaginal. That's your lane. I'm the double anal.
Like, it's just, I feel like when it comes to stuff like that, like nowadays, back in the day, you would use affiliate links. We would all link together. Like, oh, you want to do, like when I joined StreamMate, I used my friend's affiliate link.
I'm about to sign up for Sex Panther, and I made sure to text a friend and be like, hey, do you have a referral link? Because like, I'll
but
use it.
Not a lot of these newbies know to do that. They just want to go and do it. So it's kind of like, I would love to help somebody out. But the thing
only
is,
if you use my affiliate. Yeah.
I'm helping you to take my job. You know, like I'm giving you my things that I had to learn. Like everyone that comes up, how do you go into porn? How do you get into porn? You want to know how I got into porn? I Googled it. That's it. I went, my friend was like, you could be great as a porn star. I went on Google, and Google wasn't even as big as it is now. And I was looking up, and I found out I had to move to Florida. I was like, well, you know what? I need to know if I can.
Is that what it said? Move to Florida?
Basically, a lot of the things was in Florida. As I talked to people, because at the time when I did it, there was a site called sexyjobs.com. It's not really existed anymore. But everyone I would talk to that would send you emails, they always said Florida. And I knew, or LA, and I couldn't afford LA at the time yet. So I'm like, well, I have to figure out if I could have sex in front of people first. What I do, I was like, all right, well, how do I figure that out? I Googled and found about swinging. And I found swinging clubs. It's just picking stuff apart. And then when I moved to, like, I didn't say, hey, how do I get into camming? The girl was like, you should get into camming. And that's how I got into it.
You just figured it out.
Figured it out. And I looked at people back in the day, like 6 to 5 years ago. It wasn't like we all like broke in to do our things. Cam girls are really fucking tight. And when we saw, like, if I had gotten off and I knew my friend was getting on and I saw her show was going a little slow, we would tip each other to get the show going. And there's not a lot of girls like that anymore. So it's just like the give and take is really hard to get.
The community isn't as tight, it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's
I feel
unfortunate.
like I don't want to say it's not as tight. I feel like it depends on, it's hard when you have so many new people coming in and out.
Sure.
So with this new employment law that's coming, that has been enforced now in California,
the freelancer thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about how that was going to affect porn.
I'm assuming that it's going to affect porn a lot because there's a lot of businesses now that want you to be incorporated, and no newbie's going to just go right out of the bat and get incorporated if they're coming right into it, because it's a lot of money and it's a lot of research as well. So like, I don't know, it's a thing. I don't know. I consider when I chose this, it's a lifestyle. It's not, I want to make money. Like if I wanted money, I could have kept with the thing I was doing and get married, have kids, and my husband would have took care of me. You know, that was, if I wasn't doing porn, that probably would have been the route I would do. But, I didn't. I fell in love with it, and now I always will love dance as a performer. Now I'm another performer, and this is my second love.
Okay. Well, before we go, that one question that I like asking, especially for y'all who have made it past the average porn lifespan of 6 months, what if you could go back to you just starting, what's one mistake you made when you were starting that you would go back and fix
as a performer?
In porn, yeah.
Oh, I probably would have waited for my first anal scene. That's one thing I fucked up.
Okay,
because
of money reasons, or
no, I just didn't know about it. So the person that booked my agent, my anal scene didn't give me my first anal rate.
Oh, okay. So because you just didn't realize to ask for more.
I didn't. Yeah, and I was so new. I just wanted to do scenes. I didn't know there was a special rate for new stuff. How
do you feel about that? There's talk right now about the difference in rates for like interracial scenes.
I actually have really no comment on that because I don't do it.
Oh, okay.
And I respect other people's opinions. I might not agree on them, but at the end of the day, it's their body, their choice.
Sure.
So I can't say it's your body, your choice, but what you're doing is wrong. You know, why is it? And it comes back. Why? I'm not here to judge anybody. I just do.
You're taking care of Lauren.
Yeah. I respect whatever they want to do, but at the end of the day, I have my business to run, and I don't do that.
Okay. Well, Lauren, where can people go find you, look at you naked, read your tweets?
All my social media is the same, which is Lauren Fills Up, LaurenFillsup. The only thing that's different is my Snapchat because I got taken down, and that's Miss Fills Up, MSFILLSUP.
I like how you got around the how do you spell Phillips? You were like, how about let's skip that name?
And I have LaurenPhillips.com. I have the firebush.com.
What's the Firebush?
That's my bush.
So wait, but and how's that separate from LaurenPhillips.com?
So LaurenPhillips.com is a hardcore website where the Firebush is my premium Snapchat.
Gotcha.
And then you can just search on me on Pornhub.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Lauren, thanks for making the time to chat with me. I hope you have a fun night at the party. And,
I can't wait.
And why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
See you later.
Hope you enjoyed this week's episode, everybody, with all the voices you got to hear. Hope you're going to go follow Lauren Phillips on social media. You can follow Adam Lyons, the dating coach. You can also go follow Andrea Allen and Brian from the Front Porch Swingers podcast. I think they're at FP Swingers. And you should surely be following me. I'm on Instagram at Billy is Precita. I'm on Twitter at the Billy Precita. And of course, if you're one of those Facebook people who doesn't care about privacy, come on over and like my Facebook fan page. And if you want to shoot me an email with your comments, your questions, your criticisms, your titty pictures, you can send any of that over to manwhorepod@gmail.com. I'd love for y'all to join our fan whore community on Patreon. Not only is it a cool way to connect with like-minded listeners and gain access to a whole slew of bonus content, but you know what? It also supports me as an artist and a creator. I put out this podcast every week, haven't missed a Wednesday in 300 plus Wednesdays. Plus, I've also produced nearly 200 bonus episodes for my patrons. And I'm only able to commit so much time and energy to this show because I don't have to go into an office Monday morning. I keep the level of quality of this show up because listeners like you are going to go over there and support me, even if it's just that $2 at a time. Every dollar counts. So go become a member today. Join us at the $7 level and join us for our very first monthly Zoom hangout. Come take your pants off with me. May 7th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Enjoy the benefits, support the show. Become a member today at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Next week, we've got on an intimacy coordinator. That's like a new rising, budding job in Hollywood that just kind of, aids a consent-heavy on-set experience. It's a really cool episode. I'm very excited to share that one with y'all, everybody. So until then, get geeky, get kinky, get pins, stay slutty.